A new study shows 95% of 4-year-olds in 2 district preschool programs are ready or well on their way when kindergarten rolls around. Students at Crossroads Elementary get a hello from outer space, and a rally for education at the Capitol draws thousands from around the state. All this and more on this edition of SPPS Today. I'm Jessie King, and I'll be your host. In an overwhelming show of support for an increase in K-12 education funding, a crowd of nearly 6,000 parents, students, and school staff gathered at one of the largest rallies at the state capitol in a decade. Hundreds from St. Paul joined the group in demanding that the governor and legislature provide $250 in state funding for each student for the next 2 years to adequately fund education.
We're here to make sure that our children are treated better by the legislature and the governor when it comes to financial support for our schools. We are here to tell the legislature and the governor to keep their promise to the children and families of Minnesota to adequately fund our education.
Who believe that our children deserve better. They call us a special interest group. Well, you bet we're a special interest group, and our special interest is the future of this state. And to make that future bright, we call upon the governor and the state leadership to keep its promise and renew this state's commitment to our children and their public schools. Keep that promise.
The faith community stands with Minnesota's children and Minnesota's public schools. Those who went before us in this state created a world-class education system, not for those who could afford it, but for every single child. Those who went before us understood that's how you build a great state. I'm proud to be a Minnesotan. You can travel across this country, travel around, and you will find states that have made very different choices. But then come home. Come home to our legacy in Minnesota of funding for the common good. Come home to our legacy of a world-class education system for every child in Minnesota. Elected leaders of Minnesota, we are asking you, we are demanding that you lead us home.
It's time to take action to return education to the funding priority it needs to be. The legacy of this government and this latest legislative session will not be in whether a casino, a stadium, or a road was built. The legacy of this latest legislative session will be what you did for or what you did to our children. And we are watching, and so are the kids.
Keep funding our schools, no more cuts. We can't afford any more cuts, and the legislators need to keep their promises to education of Minnesota.
I think by cutting money, they're jeopardizing our children's education and their future.
Fund our schools, it's important.
I hope that we get money to help our schools.
Although the governor proposed a small increase in K-12 education funding, his proposal leaves our district with a $15.3 million deficit. Schools and programs are beginning the painful budget-cutting process, but are hoping for additional funding from the state legislature to fund vital programs and services for St. Paul students and families. The current legislative session is winding down quickly, but there is still time to let the governor and legislature know our schools need an increase of $250 per student in each of the next 2 years to adequately fund education. For more information, visit www.spps.org or www.allianceforstudentachievement.org. Nearly 95% of 4-year-olds in 2 St. Paul public preschool programs are ready for school or well on their way when kindergarten begins. This, according to a new, recently released first study of school readiness programs in the district.
Nationally, we know that children who don't go through a program to get them ready for kindergarten may start school lagging behind, and the research shows that it's rare without specific interventions that they ever catch up. The work sampling system which we use to assess our 4-year-olds is used throughout the state in Minnesota, and our programs, we found that about 95% of our children are in process or proficient. That means they are on the way to being ready or they are ready to start kindergarten. And understanding the families that we're reaching, this is very good news. When you think about it, we have some classrooms that started in the fall where 100% of the children had a home language other than English. You go into those programs like this program today, everyone is speaking English. That's a tremendous growth. That's a tremendous achievement for these children who otherwise would come to kindergarten without having the exposure to English that they're having in these programs.
What day is today? Tuesday. Tomorrow will be Wednesday. What day is tomorrow? Wednesday.
The kids get to know themselves. They get to unfold. They really begin to see where their interests are. They learn how smart they are. Oftentimes, children don't know that they can use adults as sources of information, and they learn that. They get lots of ideas from the other children that are in class with them, and they, kind of build their ideas on each other. We really focus on intentional, focused learning for the children, so they really are learning the things that they absolutely need for kindergarten in terms of their social development, their physical development, their thinking skills, their mathematical skills. We pull them in by what their interests are and then just enrich that interest with things we know are important for them to have before they reach kindergarten.
School readiness really prepare him well for kindergarten. Just getting to know their ABCs, the colors, the shapes, and writing their full name at the end of the school, at the end of the school readiness program.
Well, I've seen a remarkable difference in James since he started this program. We worked really hard with him on the basics, the ABCs and the counting and all of that kind of stuff, and he could even read a little before he started. But he had none of the interactive social skills he needed to start kindergarten. He had no experience with the rules and everything else, and now he's just amazing.
In Minnesota's first ever NASA Education Downlink, students from Crossroads and Farnsworth Elementary Schools got a hello from the crew on the International Space Station. Crossroads is one of only 50 schools in the country designated a NASA Explorer School, and Farnsworth is an aerospace magnet school. In preparation for the event, students did research regarding the International Space Station and learned about experiments and studies that the crew has been working on.
We've been doing research on the different parts of the ISS. We have learned a lot about the MAMS and the SAMS too. MAMS stands for Microgravity Acceleration Measurement System, and SAMS-2 stands for Space Acceleration Measurement System 2.
On the Downlink Day, students talked live with the ISS crew and got answers to the procedures and concepts they have been learning about in their classrooms.
Station, this is Crossroads Elementary School in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Hello, Crossroads Elementary School. We hear you loud and clear, and welcome on board the International Space Station. Real pleasure to have you with us today. We certainly welcome everyone on board today.
We have been studying the acceleration measurement systems. How will the SAMS-2 and the MAMS help the Expedition 10 mission aboard the ISS?
SAMS and the MAMS are very important instruments that help characterize the vibration environment on the space station. That's important for some experiments which are sensitive to vibrations, so we can understand and correlate the vibrations with what the effects are on the experiments after the analysis later on.
How will SAMS-2 and MAMS data help us here on Earth?
In an indirect way, SAMS and MAMS helps us to develop better protein crystals by understanding the environment, which in turn can help people on the Earth in the development of better drugs and medicines.
Do you control the robotics on the ISS, or is the programming done by NASA and scientists on Earth?
But you probably know that robotics systems can be controlled manually from here by the crew. Here are the handles that are used and the control panel that are used to control these robotics devices.
How do you pour water into a cup, and can you show us?
It is not possible to pour water into a glass in space. Therefore, there are certain special ways of using water.
I was going to show for you now what happens if you spill water in space. You can see you got to be very careful with your food and everything else in space, otherwise you can end up making a big mess. Well, thank you. It's been a real pleasure. Welcome again, Crossroads Elementary School. It's been great having you on board the International Space Station.
Thank you for the wonderful downlink and for helping inspire the next generation.
Five St. Paul schools have volunteered to pilot a new grant-funded project that will fight the fad and focus on fitness. St. Paul was one of only 4 communities statewide to receive the 5-year National Steps to a Healthier U.S. grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Together with the St. Paul Ramsey County Department of Public Health and the City of St. Paul, the school district will focus efforts on reducing childhood obesity.
Right now, we've been focusing on physical activity and nutrition because we see the academic connection. It's proven that better nutrition and kids who are physically active score higher on academic achievement tests, do better in school, less likely to drop out, reduced absenteeism. We have a lot more kids who feel confident about themselves, positive, they like to go to school.
Schools are beginning their efforts this spring with a school health assessment. The assessment identifies schools' strengths and weaknesses in promoting health and will help in the development of an action plan.
So far, I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised that they have a lot of strengths, a lot of wonderful things going on in the buildings. Getting kids out to exercise, talking about healthy eating and other behaviors, and the whole purpose of this program is to look at that. What else can we do? What can we build on to make things even better? Because it's estimated about 70 to 80% of kids, if they don't become physically active now, they won't as adults. We want to begin to role model and teach a different lifestyle.
Prosperity Heights Elementary has already decided how they will use their grant money this year.
The grant is really exciting for us because we're going to have a special program here at Prosperity Heights called Panther Pedal Power. And we hope to purchase 30 bikes and bicycle helmets and instruct all kids in grades 3 through 6 in safe bike riding skills, and then have even an after-school program with Panther Pedal Power. And we're going to take advantage of our nice school here on the east side and tie into the parks program and all the trails. And it should be exciting here on the east side with when you see a group, a class of physical education students. It's probably one of few in the state, maybe even in the nation, where there's going to be a group of kids riding bikes as part of a physical education program. And it shows St. Paul being a leader, interested in keeping kids more healthy, getting kids more active, and what a better place to start it than the capital city, St. Paul. And again, taking a great leadership role in getting kids more active and worried about kids' health.
You got to watch it all the way. Perfect.
Make sure to check out the summer guide sent in the April edition of SPPS today. This special pull-out section gives inexpensive and exciting ways for kids to learn new things, stay active, and have fun over the summer. Thanks for watching. Have a great summer.